Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and welcome to my monthly journal pages. Today we'll be flipping through my November pages and chatting about the journal spreads, techniques, and ephemera I created to connect with my personal tarot practice last month. So this month you may notice that I am back in my Mr. Darcy, and this is my Chic Sparrow B6 Deluxe. And this was the very first Chic Sparrow that I ever purchased. Now I had gotten a Americano B6, which was a much darker leather, to use in October, and I had fully intended to use it in the darker months. But I found that after a month of working in that, I miss Mr. Darcy here. And I think because he's been my tarot journal for so long that I don't know. I missed him. I wanted to get back to working with him again. So I moved everything out of my Americano and put it back into my Mr. Darcy. And it just kind of feels right. I'm thinking about switching things up for 2021 in terms of my tarot journaling. But to be perfectly honest, now I'm like wondering if I switch things around and I switch out of this, am I gonna want to go back again? So that will definitely be some food for thought before we get to the end of the year. So I've just basically put everything back in here. I have my main notebook, which is where all of my larger or more in-depth readings go. And so there's nothing like fancy about them. I think I showed this last month as well. It's just writing. So it's just journaling. It's just my reflections about my readings. There's nothing fancy, nothing decorative in there. And so it's also very personal. So it's not something that I share on my channel. But what I can share with you is my sort of what I consider my daily draws. Although I do tend to only do readings. I've gotten into kind of a routine and a rhythm where I do them pretty regularly on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Sundays I do my self-care readings. I've been pretty consistent with it, I guess, probably for about the last, I don't know, I want to say 6 months, maybe more. But I create all my own inserts for my tarot journal because I like to include different pages. And I do have some videos, I think, on my other channel, which is Boho Bloom, where I do more journaling stuff that is not necessarily tarot related. Although occasionally there's some tarot content that sneaks its way in there as well. But I do show how to do that, and I'll try to remember to link that in the description box below. But I create these myself so that, one, I can make them the right size, and two, I can include different types of papers in it because I like to have that layered effect in my tarot journals. For this one, I did something really simple on the cover. I just used some Tim Holtz cardstock. I put this is a Tim Holtz die cut of just a flower, and I just stamped out the month and the year and move that up a little bit and added that to the front. So really, really simple this time. This paper is pretty busy as it is, so I didn't really feel like it needed a whole lot. So moving in here, I had clipped this little thing out that says season, and I washi taped it in here because I had intended to use it in the journal or in my tarot journal, and that actually never happened. So I just left it here, and I'm going to probably pull it out and use it in something else. But so here you can see this is a book page, and this is why I like to make my own inserts. This is from Katie Daisy book. I don't know why I can never say her name. I'll leave it linked in the description box below. And I think it's like How to Be a Wildflower or something like that. And she has the most beautiful artwork. She has a new Oracle deck coming out next year too, which I'm definitely going to be getting. So I just included this in here because I love the colors and I love that it's got the little birds on the back. This was just a thought that I wrote down. It's not my thought, it's a quote. That's what I was trying to say. This is a quote that I wrote down that kind of just had some meaning for me in the moment, and I just did some basic paper collaging around it, which was really, really simple. This is just one sheet of scrapbook paper that I tore out here and tore out here and glued in. So nothing too fancy, but I liked including that quote in my journal. So on this side, I decided to pull a card for November. I did do a year ahead spread, and you may have noticed if you've seen my other tarot journal videos using this notebook, I did have a yearly insert in here, it's right here. It was this one. This one did used to be in here, and I found that trying to have this a thick monthly one and my full notebook in there was just a little much. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not using this. So we'll take a look at that when I kind of go over my things I did this year, like my 2020 journal review or something. I'll do something at the closer to the end of the year, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit, about why I'm not using that anymore. But I did have a year ahead spread and I totally forget to check it. So that's kind of, I don't know, probably not a great practice for me because I forget to check back into it. I'm actually going to take this out because it's not laying very flat at the moment. So let's move Darcy out of the way and now get this a little bit flatter for us. Okay. So hopefully that's a little bit better. You can kind of see, because that notebook in the back is a little bit thick. I take this out when I work in it. So it doesn't, I don't try to work in it in here. I actually take it out and I work in it separately, but I do work in this in here. I don't take this out. So I guess because it's thicker, I don't know, it tends to work fine for me. But so that one stays in there when I write in it, and this one comes out when I work in it. Could also be because I'm like paper collaging and gluing and all kinds of stuff into this one, whereas in the other one, I'm just writing. There's nothing fancy in there. So anyway, back to this page. I pulled a card from November. I almost always use my Llewellyn Tarot for this because it's like, you know, it's like my soul deck. So just did some paper collaging. I added this little bit of lace so it would stick off here, just, I don't know, because it looks pretty and also gives me a little tab to be really easily come back to this page. And then the thing that really popped into my mind when I pulled this card was the kind of phrase harness and channel. And that's kind of been my focus for this month in terms of, well, not only my tarot practice, but my personal practice. So here we have my first self-care Sunday reading. I was really good about printing off all of my little prompts, which you can always find these on Instagram. I was really good about printing them off and putting them on here or in here this month. Sometimes I'm better at it than others, but it just keeps me from having to rewrite the whole prompt. For my self-care reading, I was using the Mesquite Tarot, which I used all month, and I just pulled my 3 cards and wrote my little reflections. Sometimes I do dive deeper into these in my just my lined journal where I have more space to write and it's just lines, and it's a lot easier for me to just kind of dive deep into the reflection and not so much focus on the design element. So sometimes these readings actually kind of overflow into that other journal. When that happens, I always note what insert it's in and what day it's from so that I can come back to it if I need to. You'll see throughout this particular month or this particular insert for November that I kind of got into a flow with my layout and I kind of stuck with it because I actually really liked it. And this is really what it kind of looked like throughout the month. So I had my big date here and I almost always did the sort of outlined letters and the date, my cards that I pull. So usually on Mondays, I kind of pull a 3-card reading, and I think you'll see that I think I only did, with the exception of 1 or 2 readings, I think I did all 3-card readings this month because I love the 3-card reading. It's like my favorite. It works for everything. So I pulled my 3 cards, which is usually on Monday is like, you know, what energies do I need to be aware of this month or things this week or things along those lines. And I just wrote my reflections and did some little doodling. You'll see a lot of that in this month. This is just a piece of old paper from my old cookbook that I just put in here, and I thought that looked really nice. It also provides space for me to do things like this where I can have the prompt. And again, this is on my Instagram, where I have these spreads on Wednesday. It's generally, I think it's every other month I do the Wednesday spreads, and I alternate that with the tarot with intention quotes. And so you can always find those on my Instagram, and I printed it out. And then I really like the way this one turned out as well. So this was my Falling into Autumn spread. Again, I think I forgot to mention I was using the Aquarian Tarot, if you hadn't noticed, through the first week of November. And here's my reflections. And again, just that little doodling. But you'll find there's a very consistent theme throughout my decoration of this particular insert. I pulled the Queen of Roses out because she kept coming up for me all week long. So I did this page just for her. And I really, you know, I was looking at what is she trying to tell me, because she kept coming up in all my readings. And so I did this little page for her. And I just really kind of did some reflective journaling on what she meant to me in that moment. And you can see I copied her rod here and sent a similar font, and then just put her picture in here. You'll notice with the aquarium, I cut the borders off on all of them and I left them square, which looks kind of cool. And I'm kind of thinking about doing that for real. Oh, I guess I did use I used the Earthbound Oracle. I forgot I had done that to further expand on what the Queen was trying to tell me. So those were the 3 cards that I pulled for that. This is a book page from a poetry book that just has some really just beautiful poetry, but also has some really beautifully designed pages. So I really like to include that. Here's the other side of that. You can see more poetry and the trees. Sometimes I cover it up, sometimes I leave it as it is. Just kind of depends on, you know, what I'm feeling or how it works into my spread. So here you can see Friday, finishing up the week with the Aquarian Tarot, and I just did some doodle work and some washi. This was actually because I made a big dark brown line down here because I was going to write the date, and I decided I didn't like the look of that, so I just covered it up with washi, and I pulled some washi up here just to kind of create some balance, and these lines with the little flowers just to kind of pull that pop of red in. Nothing too fancy, but it was pretty. I do have to say, like, kind of jumping ahead, I included, these are black and white illustrations, or just drawn illustrations from a floral book, a botanical floral book. And I've never thought to actually color them in before. I've always just left them in their, you know, as they naturally were. They're just black and white, or actually I guess black and cream in this case. This month I colored them in, and I had so much fun doing that I'm actually like kind of considering adding some coloring pages into my journals, because it was really fun to tie the floral elements color wise into my matching spread. So whatever spread I had going on the other side, I really tried to pull those colors into what I colored in over here on the flowers. They're not like probably correct to what type of flowers those actually are, but I did really enjoy having a lot of fun actually choosing the colors and coloring them in to match, so they make this like beautiful layout on the page. So here's my self-care Sunday for the next week. You can see there's the printout from Instagram and my 3 cards, my reflection, and just some minor doodling down here. I was kind of mimicking these waves up here in this card, and then you can see my colors really kind of match with what I have going on in these cards. I love the color palette of the Mesquite Tarot. I think it's currently out of print, but I think it might be coming back mass market. I could be wrong though. I need to look that up again. So here we move into the next week, and I was working with the Morgan Greer. You can see here again the colors matching what's going on in the cards there. And for this one, I did this kind of little doodly thing, and I was trying to kind of mimic what was on the Empress there at her heart space. And I don't know if I really like the way it came out, but I mean, it works. And I put washi back here because originally I had something different and I didn't like the look of it. So I just covered it up with paper and added washi, and now it was gone and I could add my cards over it. So moving on, we have a card that I pulled just for, you know, what I wanted to cultivate today. And today, apparently that day, on the 10th, I wanted to cultivate some healing. So I pulled the Queen of Cups intentionally from the Morgan Greer. And this one, I think I made a full color copy, and I just doodled her little cup there and wrote about how I wanted to cultivate that. Again, you see washi down here because I'm covering up something that I didn't like the look of it, and washi will cover up any manner of scent, just so you know. So moving along, we have the pumpkin spice spread from Wednesday the 11th. And again, I was using the Morgan Greer, so I just did some kind of pumpkin-y paper decoration and my reflections. And of course, my cards all printed out. This is one of my favorites. I just love that card. So here we move into Friday the 13th, and again, I did another 3-card spread with the Morgan Greer, and this one I actually did have a prompt, and it was what wisdom have I gained? So I have that prompt, pulled my 3 cards, wrote my reflections, did some little flowery doodles here, and you can see over here I did some more coloring. And this one I actually included a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson of "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience," because I feel like that really tied in with the messages that I had been receiving throughout the week. And this one, I either forgot to color or didn't have time to color. But I did quite a bit of like dot work on this, so I probably forgot to color it. So here's my self-care Sunday for November 15th. You can see the printout there. My cards, I did number them at the top so I could tell which was in which position. And then my little reflection, and I just used the markers to kind of create dots to kind of just, I don't know, fill the page in and make it look kind of magical and cute, and I don't know, it's fun. So here we get to the mid-month check-in, which I tend to like to do to just kind of check in with myself to see how things are going. I did a 4-card spread from the, or using the Morgan Greer. So we have a card for the position of heart, body, mind, and soul. A lot of times I will use Oracle as well to indicate what I am leaving and what I'm moving into, but I didn't do that this time. I did think it was really neat how I had the red flower over here and the white flower over here. So I kind of mimicked those in my little doodles here just to kind of provide that, to really pull that in and bring it to the forefront of my mind so that when I look at this, I know to pay attention to those, because those were obviously important to me at the time. And again, just some little dots around to kind of just fill it in, and some doodles. So moving into, I think, what were we at, the 3rd week of November, I was using the Robin Wood. And here I did the doodles of her, the little cloud in the background of the High Priestess, because I really like the look of that. So I just kind of doodled that in there with my cards. And my prompt for that reading was, what energies do I need to be aware of? And you can see I kind of tried to pull the cloud motif down here in the bottom too, but this one, I don't know, it looks more like a sideways mountain or something. I don't know, it didn't come out very well. But again, you can see here just me playing with these little doodles, which I really enjoyed doing. So here we have the light and shadow spread, which I did on Wednesday the 18th, and again using the Robin Wood, which that was a really fun one. So here we have another 3-card prompted reading that I did on Friday the 20th, which was, what wisdom have I gained this week? You'll notice that that tends to be a theme for my Friday readings. I tend to kind of look at, what have I learned throughout this week? What have I gained? What have I experienced? And it's more of a reflective reading than a predictive reading, so to speak. Sometimes my Monday readings are a bit more on the predictive side, is kind of like, what do I need to know for this week? And my Friday readings tend to be a little bit more reflective, as in, what did I learn? What did I experience? What did I gain? So there's my reflections there. A lot of times these do carry over into my more expanded journal, because I'll come back to them and I'll look at them again later on and, you know, kind of expand on that as I've had more time to look at it and to think about it. So here's my next self-care Sunday reading, and I really am not like that super thrilled with how that turned out up there, but that's okay. I just did some kind of little leafy borders to kind of pull them all together. Again, you can see I was good and printed off my little prompt from Instagram, my 3 cards. And I did on this one, because I put took up so much space with the cards and the prompt, I actually wrote the my reflections on a little folded piece of paper, so it can fold out. And I'll just show you real quick. Like, it folds out like that. So you can see that I was able to write a little bit more, but still make it fit within this space. So I do that a lot of times when I know that, like, there's a lot on my mind. I know I need to write more, but I don't have a ton of space on the page. So rather than just taking up more pages in my insert, which I could have totally done, right? I could have wrote my insert over here because, well, on Sunday this wasn't here, but I could have totally let that flow over to the other page. But I kind of like keeping it all on one page. So having little fold outs like that is really helpful. So moving into the last week in November, I was working with the Hanson Roberts, which is such a cute little deck. And you can see here, I took the borders off when I put them. So I made color copies, you know, shrunk them down to size and printed them out. And you can see here that I took the borders off, and it has white borders around this deck. And I kind of like the look of it. I'm kind of considering taking this one down, either to taking the white borders off and having it look like this, or maybe even taking these white banners off and just doing like fully borderless cards because I think this would look so pretty that way, but we'll see. I'm still thinking about that one. But anyway, again, I did my kind of standard 3 card and I wrote my reflections here. And after I wrote my reflections, I doodled the little squirrel work around it. And you can see I did that on the date as well. And then again, coloring in these little flower pages, these botanical pages to sort of match what's going on my other page. These were supposed to be petals, like these big yellow blotches. I kind of intended them to be petals. Maybe if I outlined them in black, they might look a little bit better. But I was kind of doing like a petals and seeds thing where the little yellow bits were supposed to be petals from her flower, and the little dots were kind of seeds. That was kind of my thought process when I was doing it, but kind of was better in thought than actual in practice. This one I really like this one as well. This is the Inner Harvest spread. And you can see here this time I made use of the botanical page, not only because I colored it, but I added my spread prompt here and the date. And then I tried my best to copy this font. I kind of messed up my S, but I was outlining it in the black. I was kind of able to fix it up a little bit, but it still kind of came out a little bit funny, but that's okay. So I have my 3 cards for my 3 prompts and my reflections. And you can see here that I used the different colored pen to pull in those 3 prompt words because we have reaping, releasing, and abundance. And I thought that was really, really helpful because I can really help visually see those prompts. So here was my reading for Friday, and this again was another fun one. This one I actually had a prompt as well, and it says, what do I need to keep in mind as I move into the last month of this year? And I thought it was funny because I got a 2, 3, 4. All different suits, but they definitely fell in numerological order. And so I thought that was really interesting. I actually journaled about that more in my other journal because I was really diving into sort of the numerological implications of that. And so I thought that was really interesting. And down here, I kind of tried to mimic the little bushes with the flowers in the 3 of Cups because it was kind of the center card. And for me, it was really the focal point of the reading. And I mean, it's like doodly and it's messy, but it's cute. It works. So again, this is another book page from that same book, like the other side of it. And here is my last self-care Sunday reading for the month. And I have my prompt over here. Just used this blank space to not only fill that in, but also just because I think it looks really nice and also frees up the full page so that I have more room to write. So I have my 3 cards, which I added little boxes and the numbers in white so that I could really quickly see, which one went to which prompt. Although I did also pull out the keywords for each prompt as well, and then just wrote a little bit about each of those. So the only other spread that I did at the end of this month was I did a 4-card reading, actually 5-card reading, I take that back, 5-card reading, because I pulled 1 card from each deck I worked with this month to kind of give me a sort of a wrap-up reading for the message. This was my attempt at making like an argyle pattern. I definitely need to practice that. There's just stickers behind here, and you'll see that most of what I used in this insert was mostly marker and a little bit of stickers here and there, but totally mostly marker and just the printouts of my cards. And I had a lot of fun doing that because it was a lot of creative creative doodling, which was really fun. So there's my 4 cards, 1 from each deck. My self-care card is over here from the mesquite, which I just put behind or on top of a flower sticker here, and I drew some little arrows pointing down to it because, it's the 7 of arrows. He's got little arrows in his hand. And then here's my actual reflections for that reading. And it's just, kind of like wrapping up this month and moving into the next, which was fun. And then here is my reflection page that I do at the end of every month, where I kind of just journal a little bit. How did I honor my practice this month? What kind of things did I focus on that really helped me to tune into my tarot practice? Did I have any challenges and what those were? And the things, I always like to note the things that brought me joy. And for this month, the things that brought me joy were totally the decks that I worked with. Being able to connect with those decks that I'd kind of spent that time studying. I did that whole video on. And then to actually be able to go in and use them for a whole month was really fun. I did find that like pretty much at the end of every week, I was excited to use the next deck, but I was also sad to put away the one that I was currently working with. So that's always a good sign for me. And so in honor of that, I did this just kind of November decks page, and that is it. This page is blank. Here's the back of that original Katie Daisy page, which is so pretty, and the back of the insert. And so there is another month done. That was a lot of fun to work in. I really, really enjoyed working with those decks this month. I really enjoyed doing the kind of getting back more into the sort of doodling kind of bullet journaling. And I noticed that I tend to do that. Like I tend to be really a bit more drawn to that kind of style in the winter months. And so that always kind of gets me thinking about maybe I need to kind of go back to that again for 2021. But again, that's something that I'm going to talk about later on. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because we have taken a look at my entire insert for November, and it was a lot of fun to work in, and I'm definitely looking forward to finishing up my last insert for the year in December. And then I will be trying to figure out how to put all of these together because that's going to be a chore. Thank you for joining me for this flip through my tarot journal pages. If you'd like to find out more about any of the decks that I used this last month, check out my monthly reflections video, which you will find linked in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this flip through and will join me again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.